everyone, welcome to another episode of On Purpose by Lynn. For those of you who were new here, welcome. My name is Lynn and I share with you everything you need to know about personal development and spirituality so that you can create your best life and so that you can rise to your fullest potential. If that's something that you're interested in, then make sure to subscribe. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the teachings of Eckhart Tolle. I've realized that there are so many great teachers that I learned from when I first started my spiritual awakening, my personal development, and I truly believe that Eckhart Tolle is one of the most beautiful spiritual teachers out there that you can learn from, who has really nailed down everything from manifestation to being in control of your emotions, leading a life in freedom. I truly believe that he's one of the most powerful speakers, and therefore I've decided to make a series of his teachings so that you can understand the different parts that he teaches, nailed down into very brief and short videos, so that you can take everything that you need and implement it into your own life. And today's video, I'm going to talk about the ego and the many phases of the ego, how to recognize them. So if that's something that you'd like to learn more about, then stay around. So when I started out in my journey of spiritual awakening, personal development, Eckhart Tolle was actually one of the most amazing teachers that I learned from at that time, and specifically through a book that I first read. I started out with a podcast from Oprah Winfrey and Eckhart Tolle called A New Earth, and that's how I discovered his book, A New Earth. And it's such a beautiful book because it talks about our emotions, how to not be identified with our emotions, and how we can truly control our emotions, and in that sense feel free within ourselves. And I just truly think that the way Eckhart Tolle approaches spirituality and all these different concepts, you know, it's not for nothing that he is one of the biggest spiritual teachers out there right now, because he has nailed down how we can be present, how we can manifest, how to control our emotions, all the human things that we struggle with, all the emotions, all the triggering events, and not feeling in control. And the number one thing that we first have to understand before we can move into his different teachings is the ego. Now, the ego is something that I've actually talked about in a couple of other videos that I've filmed. So if you're curious about ego death and the ego, you want to learn more apart from this video, you can go through my other videos. I think it must be in my playlist Spirituality or Self-Mastery. I'm not sure. Either one. I'll make sure to link these videos afterwards in this video. But in this video, I want to break down the way that he explains it. And basically what he says, or basically maybe this is something that you've heard about many times, is that people say, oh, this guy or this girl, she or he has such a big ego, all these kind of things. But you know, we never truly learn, like, what is it exactly? And we never truly learn that we have this all within us, whether it's a big ego or a small ego, it doesn't matter. We all have this ego inside of us. And the ego actually feeds off of, you know, identifying itself with different things. It feeds off of negativity, wanting to feel better than someone else. So how does an ego grow? How does an ego grow, and how can we be aware of not being identified with our ego so that our ego cannot control us? What we need to understand first is that we have different parts within ourselves. We have our ego, and then we have our pure consciousness, our spirit, our soul, that is pure love. It's trust, it's full surrender, it's connected to everything and anything. That's where you can receive downloads from, universal energies and insights that you get. That is our pure consciousness. That is source. That's who we truly are. It's pure empowerment as well. Our ego is the identity that we perceive ourselves as. And this is not a bad thing, but it's something that we need to be aware of. When we grow up, we, without us knowing it or being completely conscious of it, we are being conditioned to think that you belong in a certain group, that you have certain interests, that you maybe can relate to a certain religion. All these type of things is what the ego can identify itself with. So what it does, it conceptualizes its identity based on the interests and the way that you speak, perhaps your friend group, the soccer team that you're a fan of, or a certain artist or music group. All these kind of things is what the ego can identify itself with. How can we recognize when our ego is speaking or controlling us, or our pure consciousness? The way that we have to recognize that is what Eckhart Tolle says: the ego has many different phases. So I just simply touched on the religion, the things basically that you like and you feel identified with, meaning you feel that these things are representing who you are. So basically, when these things are taken away, you feel this huge amount of pain. Not because something in real life is happening to you, like there's no arm chopped off, for example, but it feels like a part of you is dying. A part of you lost something. You feel lost in some sort of way. And that is how you can recognize that you've been too identified, too attached to a certain thing that you feel represents you or gives you a certain status in this world. So this leads me to another thing, which is our job. For many people, they identify themselves with their job. Perhaps, for me, it could be I'm a YouTuber, or I'm a network marketer, or I am an empowerment speaker. And if I feel that that is only who I am, and without that, who am I really? This is what you see with a lot of people who start retirement, or, they are in a place in their lives where they stop working for a reason, or they shift their jobs, or they lose their jobs. Suddenly they feel lost because they feel like they've lost a part of themselves. They feel like because they're not doing anything right now, it means that they're unworthy or they are not valid. So one of the most common ways that our ego identifies itself with is actually our looks. And this is a very common thing. I mean, when you open your phone on social media, probably your phone is full with people taking selfies and doing all of this and showing what they're eating. And I'm not saying that anything is wrong with that, and I'm also not saying that I don't do any of that stuff, but it's good to be aware that once you look at social media and you open your phone, for example, and I'm taking this example because we do that every single day, that when we look at that, we don't feel diminished in any way looking at other people's lives, because this is our ego. Our ego can only feel diminished because it's what keeps us separate. It's what keeps us in a state of lack. And when we actually notice that this is our ego speaking, why do we feel diminished? Why do we feel that we have to compare ourselves, or because we're not doing these things, perhaps we're unworthy, or where our sense of being is less, it's diminished. It's because of the ego. This is what the ego does. The ego always wants to be better than anything else and anyone else. So another way to open your phone and look at these things is actually to feel happy for those people. Feel happy that, you know, they are beautiful, or that they are doing certain things that makes them happy. To be happy for someone else, to practice compassion. Because then, not only does it make you feel better, but also it doesn't make you feel like you are any less. Because that's the secret behind it all, is that our ego doesn't define us. When we wake up to the reality that when our ego speaks, when for example, in days we don't feel enough, or we feel unworthy, or we feel unhappy, it's not truly who we are. And when we can observe the ego, it actually stops us from feeling that miserability. I'm not sure if that's a word. Now it is a word. To stop feeling that miserable. To stop feeling as if you're diminished in any way just because you're not doing those things, or because that's not you, or your life doesn't look a certain way. So this is just a short video about what the ego is, what it does, how actually it always conceptualizes the sense of self, and that this illusion is not who you are, because what you are pure love, you are pure potentiality, you are pure empowerment, you are pure consciousness, you are infinite potential. You can be, do, or have anything that you want. And this is one of the teachings from Eckhart Tolle. Let me know in the comments if you had any aha moments, and if you haven't already liked this video, make sure to like this video, as this video needs to be spread out to anyone who needs to hear it right now. And for those of you who were new here and haven't already subscribed to my channel, remember to do so, as you will be the first to watch all of my videos every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, so that you can create your best life. Remember, we have such an exciting future to look forward to, even if it doesn't seem like it right now. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next video. Bye for now.